Russian man like inside the dark, call me Bill Snatcher. Just the brother for the rapture. I hang live, holding on strong, hard to capture. Extravagant, resurrect the track and it's militant. And I react like a convict and start killing. It's manifesting. The God's work like appliances, dealing in my sleep like a lot.
Yo, what's going on, everybody? It's your boy Naruto Explain here, bringing you guys another discussion for Boruto Naruto Next Generations, the manga. And today we're going to be looking at more of the fallout from Boruto manga chapter 70. And for this discussion, it's only right for us to start with the major series changing ramifications of Code finally getting his limbers taken off and reaching full power, and what this means for everyone's favorite, lovable 7th Hokage, Naruto Uzumaki. Now, as we all know, at the start of this arc, Code opened up with a hit list of shinobi who he wanted to kill for their role in the murder of Ishiki Otsutsuki. In order to carry out this goal, Code wanted to get his limbers taken off to ensure that he'd be able to destroy Naruto and Sasuke with absolute certainty, which led them making an alliance with Ada and her younger brother Damon, the cyborg siblings with combat abilities that exceed Jigen. However, now that Code has achieved this power-up, which is complete with a whole physical transformation, transforming his hair from red to white, in theory, there is nothing to stop Code in his quest for vengeance. In short, he's what some fans have begun to start calling a Naruto killer.
Stop the cap. Stop the cap right now. Stop the cap. No bullshit, bro.
When you think about it, Code is truly a character that is a tough matchup for Naruto, where it's not just the power gap that makes Code such a deadly opponent, but it's also his skill set. The ability to transform his body parts into ninja weapon tech weapons like blades makes close quarters combat a real problem for Naruto, especially given that is Naruto's specialty, taijutsu. The ability of his claw marks has already been compared to Minato and Tobirama's flying Raijin, but having seen Code's jutsu be used in battle a few times, an argument can be made that it might actually be more troublesome than the flying Raijin. Whereas the flying Raijin marker doesn't come out the body unless something extreme happens, like the target becoming a 10-tailed Jinchuriki, the fact is that Code's claw marks can be destroyed, evident by Kawaki's Sukuna Hikona being able to shrink them down. However, what's even scarier about these claw marks is that Code can launch attacks from within them. He can pull people through the claw marks, and it makes it relatively easy for him to attack you from a blind spot. A battle of Naruto versus Code in this instance is going to be a very tough one, just dealing with those factors in of itself. Now, Naruto could always make a ton of shadow clones and have them standing guard over each and every one of the claw marks on the battlefield and leave his main body just go after Code in a 1 versus 1 setting. But the issue with that is that you leave yourself open if you make even one mistake in locating one of those claw marks. All it takes is not covering one of those claw marks and you now have a blindside attack that would be able to take down the shadow clones. Sage mode has sensory abilities that can be used, but this brings into a question now. Ishiki Otsutsuki showed the ability to summon objects using his Daikokuten so fast that Sage Mode's sensory skills weren't enough to actually track it. If by getting a power-up, Code manages to move through those claw marks at a much faster pace on a level as fast or close to as fast as Ishiki could summon from the Daikokuten, then you got a major problem because Naruto's greatest asset is now useless in battle. As things currently are, Naruto is the one with the skill set, the experience, and the chakra reserves, where he's the only option right now to go against Code in battle until Boruto and Kawaki have been trained up more, which is inevitably going to happen, especially after Amado teased that if Boruto and Kawaki were to train, they could take down Code. But in the short term, they aren't ready to face off against Code right now. The enemy wants Kawaki, and the enemy wants to feed Boruto to the 10-tails. There's no reason for Code to not waltz into Konoha right now, not when he's at the literal peak of his power. We've been teased by Naruto that he's improved his Sage Mode strength and the durability in staying in Sage Mode, but we haven't seen him actually in an actual battle. When he pulled up against Boruto Shiki, he ran into a problem of, oh my god, my son is now Momoshiki, and Naruto didn't do anything. He just stood there and took the attacks from Momoshiki. We haven't really seen Naruto fight using this new Sage Mode, and he hasn't given somebody like Code any reason to be afraid. Naruto's gonna pull up to the battlefield and Code's gonna be unfazed. If anything, he's gonna troll him.
scary. Shiver my timbers. Shut up, man.
However, this battle against Code from a sheer power perspective is an absolute wash. It's one thing to fight Code before he gets his limiters taken off. You have some hope to be able to take him down, but now he's got his limiters taken off. This is completely different. The only thing that makes this different than the battle against Jigen is Naruto. If he were to fight right now, he'd at least have some prior intel on how the enemy fights and the jutsu that's being used. It makes it a lot easier to fight someone when you're aware of what to expect in the battle and you're somewhat familiar with their capability as a fighter. However, this is the issue that we keep running into. Despite Code not being able to absorb jutsu with his karma, he's still low-key a counter to Naruto, and it just comes down to the physical stats. He's not a hard counter like Jigen was, which is the only silver lining, where Jigen could either absorb every jutsu in Naruto's arsenal or he could shrink every jutsu that Naruto used. However, Code is enough of a counter that it can be argued that there is no amount of strategy that can work in this scenario. All the basic Rasengans that can't be thrown at Code should be fast enough now that he can outright avoid them. Unless Naruto pulls some insane coordinated attack and catches him blindsided off guard and attempts to do some serious damage to him. The Rasen Shuriken can be thrown at Code from a distance, but being able to escape into the claw marks becomes a serious problem since it's a way to avoid the attacks should Code choose not to blitz to the other end of the battlefield to avoid them. The Naruto Shadow Clone Barrage won't be effective if Code's reaction speed is anywhere close to Jigen's reaction speed, and if he's got reaction speed much faster than Jigen, the Naruto Barrage is absolutely useless as well. As Hokage, Naruto has mastery of all 5 changes in chakra nature, and it might be time for the Hokage to start making use of them in a way that's befitting of a ninja, i.e. the move hidden behind the move, using deception and operating with prep time to lay down traps in a way to fight against Code, using ninjutsu to alter the landscape in a method that is beneficial in battle, looking for that one edge that gets that split-second advantage that might be the difference between critically injuring a much stronger opponent and being outright destroyed by the same enemy. All else fails, use the sexy jutsu to transform into Ada. That might be Naruto's only option to distract Code. However, I say all that to say right now, if you're still expecting Naruto to magically pull out some win against Code, I wouldn't hold my breath. Any battle where Naruto does end up fighting, it's going to more than likely be a moment meant to showcase how strong Code has gotten by using Naruto as a baseline measurement, and it's going to be used to add a further sense of urgency to Boruto and Team 7 for how much stronger they have to grow in battle in order to fight off an enemy that is hunting down Boruto. Now, the only real question here is what's stopping Code from going into Konoha to snatch Boruto right now? What's to stop him from killing Naruto? Is Ada finally going to be able to convince Code to spare Naruto, because Amado randomly states that if Code kills Naruto, that Kawaki would never be able to forgive Ada for being aligned with Code? What keeps Code, who should be able to carry out his hit list, from doing so? After all, if Kawaki's precious family time with the Uzumaki family, where he gets to enjoy hospital visits after Naruto gets mollywopped and ramen bowls with Naruto at the ramen stand, if that's the only thing that's keeping Code from going into Konoha and slapping everybody up, Code should be licking his lips and shivering with joy at the possibility of finally being able to accomplish his goal.
Oh, boy! Yeah!
Where Masashi Kishimoto takes Code character from here is going to be very interesting. This isn't like the Akatsuki where we learn eventually there was going to be an order to stealing away the Biju. There is, as of now, no timing delay for Code to take Boruto and feed him to the Ten Tails, which is the difference here in this scenario, which makes you wonder what's stopping Code from slapping the ramen juice out of Naruto's mouth and just walking out of Konoha with Boruto. However, I want to know from you guys, do you guys think it's too far to call Code, quote, a Naruto killer like a lot of people are doing? What chance do you honestly give Naruto with prep time against Code 1 to 10? And is Naruto's only real option to do what Tsunade once did, which is to place her bets on the next generation to go strong enough to meet the challenge that she herself couldn't face? At that time, it was the Akatsuki for Tsunade, and for Naruto presently, This is dealing with the cyborg trio of Code, Ada, and Damon. Does that count as growth for Naruto to have to rely on the next generation? Let me know down in the comment section below, but as always, guys, if you like anything I had to say, don't forget to comment, rate, subscribe, and share. Thank you so much for watching to the end. Have an awesome day, guys.